So hi everybody, my name is Christina Inrig and I am here with the Ottawa chapter of Greening Sacred Spaces and Faith and the Common Good. This is a network that has been active in our city since 2004, actually. That's when this network started in Ottawa, and across the country there have been programs running since 2000. So we are over 20 years of active participation in greening and support to the faith sector. And we're pretty keen to see how that's shaping up in the Ottawa area and with our different programs. I have a fantastic team that I get to work with here in Ottawa, led by Hannah Morgan and Emine Turgut, who are going to take the lead on this presentation today. And for those of you who don't know, I was in a car accident with a serious concussion, so I'm not going to keep my screen on for the whole time. But I do have it recorded, and we'll be around in case there's any questions or technical help needed. So, Hannah, over to you and your team. This is going to be a great session.
Thank you, Christina, and welcome everyone to part 2 of our Ask the Experts webinar series. We are very excited to have you all join us this afternoon. For those who don't know me, my name is Hannah, and I am the program lead for the Energy Benchmarking Program here at Greening Sacred Spaces, where we also acknowledge that the land on which we work is located on the unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. This webinar is being recorded to be later posted on our website. So if you are uncomfortable on being on camera, you can turn off your video using the button on the bottom left corner of your screen. We also ask you to keep your mics muted during the presentations and to enter any questions you have into the chat box. Our program coordinator, Emine, will moderate the chat to make sure your questions are addressed during the discussion period afterwards. And presenters, feel free to answer the questions as well in the chat throughout the session. Before passing the mic to our speakers, I just want to quickly introduce our current Ottawa Faith Building Energy Benchmarking Program. So I'm just going to quickly share my screen. So our Energy Benchmarking Program is a free program funded by the Ontario Trillium Foundation, where we work with your faith community to measure your building's energy performance. This program would help support your stewardship in your community, reduces your contribution to climate change, and saves you time, money, and energy, assisting you in the future decision-making about your faith building. We have about 15 spots left, so if you are interested or would like to know more about the benchmarking program, you can ask me in the chat or email me afterwards. I'll put that in there as well for you. You can also download all the information and read more about it on our website at greeningsacredspaces.ca. So to start us off, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, who will be Harner. She is the Energy Solutions Consultant at Enbridge Gas. And so she'll be starting off by talking about the relevant funding that Enbridge has to offer. So Harner, the floor is yours. You should be able to share your screen.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you guys can hear me clearly. So thank you, Hannah, for the introduction. And I'm here today to just give you an overview about the programs that Enbridge has to offer for the energy savings incentive. So let me just share my screen. All right, can everybody see it?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. So I'll just give you an overview of the energy efficiency programs that are available for the 2021. These programs have been in the market for a long time, and I started on Enbridge in July last year. So if you were in contact with one of my predecessors, probably Jeff or Luigi, so you probably could correlate them better. So today's agenda is just the Enbridge's energy efficiency programs and services overview, followed by a Q&A, and I'll be answering your question and answers as much to my best capability as I can. So since almost like 30 years, the demand side management at Enbridge has been supporting the commercial customers each year with developing and implementing energy efficiency solutions. Some of the things that Enbridge provides are the education and knowledge, like webinars such as this itself, advice on technology and our operational solutions, the calculations, analysis, and opportunity identification, which could be either by audit or just by documentation that is sent to the advisors from the commercial partners. Over the last 3 years or maybe more, we've almost saved approximately 235 million meters cube, which would be equivalent to heating 78,000 homes. So just a perspective on how the energy efficiency programs play a wider role in the province. So just an overview of the typical gas usage that happens in commercial buildings. Probably congregational applies best to this webinar. So 77% is almost heating, and then the domestic hot water is approximately close to like 12 to 15%, and cooking is the least with 11%, while the other buildings usually have like a different ratio and proportion when it comes to the natural gas usage. As you can see in the food service, the cooking is the chunk other than the heating. So first, I want to talk about the commercial prescriptive incentive program. These are fixed rate incentive programs that are rated in with respect to the measure that's being installed. I'll give you the cell sheet, like I'll be sending over the cell sheets to the organizers. And if you have any questions, you can definitely ask me about each measure. So there are prescribed rebates for the purchase of energy efficiency products. There's almost like 20 different technologies that Enbridge supports through this program. It works like a coupon where rebates are provided upon proof of purchase. So basically you go in the store, you get something, you buy some, like let's say an LED bulb, and you get like rebates. So it kind of works in the same manner. So the rebates are typically between 25 to 45% of incremental costs. Now, these are the measures that are covered by the prescriptive program technologies. For the space heating, there's condensing makeup air units, the demand control ventilators, destratification fans, energy recovery ventilators, heat recovery ventilators, and air doors. So I would say probably the heat recovery ventilators, demand control ventilators are probably the most applicable to spaces which are like such as the Green Space Ottawa and similar spaces. For the water heating, we have condensing storage water heaters, condensing tankless water heaters, and ozone laundry system in case there's like a laundry facility somewhere included. And the food services, which probably will not be that applicable here, is the DCKV system. So it's basically whatever exhaust comes out of the kitchen vents, that's controlled according to how much the system ventilation it requires. Now, aside from the prescriptive track, there are some measures which cannot be covered like in the prescriptive. It's better to cover them in the custom incentive program. And how the custom program works is incentives are available on energy for efficiency projects that yield the natural gas incentives. And the incentives are paid out that are based on the cubic meter gas saved. Usually it's around 20 cents per cubic meter, but I'll get into that detail. And the percentage of natural gas saved. The incentives cover up to 50% of the project cost. So it's like a maximum of which is less. So if the 50% is less, then the incentive will be capped at 50% of the project cost. The incentives paid to the customers are available after they provide the proof of purchase and once they're installed. So basically an invoice, and that'll probably just be followed with an application form that needs to be signed by the customer or the business partner that's doing the installation. So these are the technologies that are covered by the custom program. There are condensing furnaces, condensing boilers, high efficiency boilers, the BAS system. And for the water heating part, it's condensing storage water heaters and condensing tankless water heaters. Sorry, I think I mentioned it in the prescriptive as well, but they're in the custom track. So I did want to share this as well, because this is something that kind of influences a lot of commercial partners to go ahead with the projects because they're limited time offers and they're really a monetary step up from our 20 cents per meter cube incentive available. So if the project is committed by June 30th and the installation occurs before October 31st, just remember it easy for an easier sake like Halloween. The high efficiency boiler is incented at 30 cents per meter cube gas saved, and the condensing boiler is incented at 40 cents per meter cube saved, which is double the 20 cents per meter cube saved from the other measures. So it's a limited time offer, and I just wanted to put it out there because it can really influence projects that, because it's a really monetary viable solution for like people who are, you know, in the middle of making decision whether they should go ahead with the installation or not. So yeah, just to keep it in mind. There's also a building controls audit for customers that have consumption for more than 50,000 meters cube. So I did want to throw in an example project of a church as well. This is something that was done in the previous years. I wasn't involved in this project, just like a disclaimer. So the annual consumption was approximately like around 28,000 meter cube per year. And the gas rate, assuming, is 30 cents or 28 cents per meter cube. Now, the base case for this project was, as you can see, 7,980 per year. So the project that they did was they replaced the heating boiler at 95% efficiency, which is probably the condensing boiler. And that resulted in a natural gas savings of about 8,605 meters cube, which is a 30% reduction. On their annual bill, they'll be seeing like a $2,400 reduction per year. And the natural gas cost after the year is like $5,571 per year. The incentive amounted to $2,010, and the total annual savings, which adds up the 2,000 and the natural gas cost savings, amounted to $52 per year. So, like you can just see from this example that just by replacing like a boiler to a high efficiency or a condensing boiler, it does add up. Like I've seen up to 30 to 40% reduction in their gas bills. So that was pretty much what I had to share with everybody for the incentive programs. I will give up my, the slides have been shared with the program organizers, and I will be giving out the special limited time offer sell sheets that are available for us as for everybody as well. If you do have any questions, you can definitely visit the energy management website as the links given in this slide. And you can also definitely just call me, email me, whatever is the best way. Yeah. And thank you so much for listening to me. Thanks.
Thank you, Harner. That was awesome. So our next speaker is Christina, who is the program manager of small business lighting at Save on Energy. So whenever you're ready, Christina.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So as Hannah mentioned, I'm Christina, and I'm going to talk to you guys today about two quick projects that we have on the go. So my colleague was unfortunately is off sick today, so I'm going to take his part as well. So I'm going to start with a brief presentation on the small business lighting program and what those opportunities look like, and then I will transition into a second offering related to electric vehicle chargers. So I'm just going to get that shared up here and we'll get started. All right. Can everybody see my screen okay?
Yeah, you're good.
Perfect. All right. So I'm going to start with the Save on Energy Small Business Lighting Program. So this program offered through Save on Energy through the IESO. My team is the vendor on record offering this program province-wide for small businesses in Ontario. So my team, we're Blueway, Sonopar Blueway. We are a services division of a lighting distributor, And we are contacted, as I mentioned, through the IESO to provide this small business lighting program province-wide. So as I mentioned, being province-wide now, we do have an abundance of assessors available to you. Right now we have about 10 assessors, and they're stretching from Thunder Bay out to Ottawa, through the GTA and out to Windsor as well. So we're well dispersed if there's anyone interested in taking part of the program outside of the Ottawa area. So there's a quick history on the small business lighting program. If anyone's heard of the program before, it has existed in different iterations since 2009. Our team has been part of the program since then. It used to be offered through your local hydro companies. That was different versions between 2009 to 2019. And back in 2019, the program was centralized by the provincial government to begin being offered by the IESO. Just helping to create a centralized offer for the program. So that's the current program offering. We are offering it province-wide. We, of course, have some limitations this year due to COVID restrictions, but the program is up and running, and that is on a provincial basis at this point. All right, so I'm going to just skip ahead to one more slide here. So the small business lighting program. So I'll just give you a brief overview of the program. So we're targeting lighting in Ontario small businesses, and the SBL program offers small businesses up to $2,000 in free lighting upgrades. So what this looks like is having one of our lighting assessors come out to your space. They would meet with you or meet with your board and do a walkthrough of your current space. What they'd be looking for is just to do a count of the lighting that you have there, as well as understanding what types of lighting, where they're located, how we could get access to them. They kind of do that full walkthrough with you. And then following that walkthrough, they'd put together a work order, which would outline what we can upgrade through the program. And the first $2,000 of that upgrade would be offered to you at no cost. So it is an upfront incentive. There's no capital cost required to start the process for this program. So we do that walkthrough, we'd put together that work order for you, and that would outline what we can upgrade through the program, as well as the energy savings that you would see in completing that upgrade. And then again, it's a pretty turnkey program. So once we've kind of done that walkthrough, we've outlined what we can upgrade at your location, our team would procure the product. So we would get all the lighting needed for that upgrade, and we'd also assign one of our program approved contractors to complete the installation. So a couple of benefits there, in that you don't have to be worrying about finding the right product, making sure that it's an energy efficient product. That would all be done for you. And we'd also set you up with one of our local program approved contractors. So the goal of the small business lighting program really is it's a turnkey offering, and it doesn't require any upfront capital. So that incentive is huge. Having that $2,000 upfront really makes it an accessible program for a lot of small businesses to be able to upgrade their lighting. So who's eligible? Just a couple eligibility details. I think in most cases, you know, understanding how we've worked with places of worship in the past, we don't usually have too many issues with these eligibility requirements, but for your reference, any small business in Ontario with 50 or fewer employees on site at any point in time would be eligible to participate. And we just have to make sure that the business or your location hasn't participated before. So if you have participated in the past between 2016 and 2020, you wouldn't be eligible to participate again. That said, if you did take advantage of the program back in 2015 in a previous version, the offering now through the program is newer and more efficient, so you would be eligible again if you were interested. So just again, in terms of how this works, so the first step would really be contacting myself and one of my program representatives. If you are interested, we would just get you set up with our local assessor. We would complete that on-site assessment, walk through all the details with you and what we can offer, and then we'd start the work. We'd get that licensed contractor out with the new lighting products for you. They would remove all of the old bulbs for you, recycle those, and then upgrade to the new LED high efficiency lighting. Okay, so the eligible lighting for the projects, this is important, and I mean, you may recognize some of these from your location. So When we're looking to upgrade through the program, we're focused on upgrading some of those incandescent and halogen lights that you may have. They may be in any of like your candelabra style, any of those more specialized light. Typically they're in incandescent or halogen, and we would be able to upgrade those through the program. Also looking at your older track lighting or your older pot lights, those we can upgrade to LED as well. Another very common one in kind of lunchrooms or washroom spaces would be your fluorescent tube lighting. So we're able to upgrade both the T12 options and the T8 options. The T12s are the older style, they're the fatter tubes, if you will, and the T8s are the newer, more efficient model. We can upgrade both of those to an LED tube solution. And the last option is a metal halide high bay. Not very common in a church location, but you typically see these in kind of a warehouse or storage space. They're use quite a lot of energy, and we are able to upgrade those as well. So really, if you have any of these types of lights still in use at your location, it'd definitely be great to give us a call. We can definitely help you get these switched out through the program. So just a quick example, and again, you know, we were able to help numerous small businesses through the program, but I'll just focus on the example on the right here so you can kind of get an idea of what that energy savings might look like. So the example here is stating that we were taking out 50 halogen and 25 incandescent and putting in 75 LEDs. You can see in the first gray box, that total upgrade cost would be about $2,125. And that rebate, again, coming right off the top, would be $2,000. So to complete this whole job, the customer, yourselves, would be responsible for paying about $125. And again, I will mention, and this has been really important, I think, over the last year, is that if you were only in the position to take that first $2,000, that's okay as well. There's no obligation to go above the $2,000 if there is no current budget, but we would put forward the full option for you, and then we'd work with you to figure out what's best for your situation. And then the last gray box here, I'll just draw your attention to that electricity cost savings per year. So we'd walk through what this number would look like. In this case, you know, taking out 50 halogens and 25 incandescent lights, that's a pretty big change. So they'd be looking at, you know, about $2,700 of savings per year. So, you know, this would be a great job. The payback on that is less than a month. I mean, $125 with the $2,700 savings. And you can see the last box there, so it's a fairly significant long-term savings. So this is what we're, you know, hoping to do for as many small businesses as we can, and we've had a lot of success with the program province-wide over the last couple of years. So you can definitely reach out to myself if you have any interest in the program. I've also, I have an online brochure I can share, and I can also connect you to our website for some more information as well. You can register with, there's a really great web survey on the Save on Energy website. So you just fill in a bit of information there. There's a couple check boxes to let you know, or rather to let me know what kind of lighting you have. Or you can email or phone. So both of those are going to come directly into my team here. And I've also put my personal information there on the left if you had any direct questions in relation to this presentation here. So it's a great program. It's really simple. It's really accessible, and we've seen a lot of great success. I know we've been out to numerous churches province-wide, and there's a lot of energy savings to be had. There's a lot of older lights in all of the different rooms and all the different spaces. So we're eager to support those upgrades if it's something you're looking to do this year. Okay, that is small business lighting. I'm not sure if we wanted to do maybe questions now, Hannah, or if you'd like me to just go into the next presentation.
You can go into the next presentation and we'll do the questions after.
Perfect. All right, so just give me a second to switch to the other one here. All right. We are. Okay, can everyone see my electric vehicle chargers slide now?
Yeah, we can see it.
Perfect. Okay, so we're going to change direction a little bit. So again, the small business lighting program that's offered through Save on Energy with the IESO. And I just want to jump into another strand of my team. So this is related to my team as Blue Way, Sonopar Blue Way. We work with a number of electric vehicle charger manufacturers rather. And we've built quite a network of EV chargers through our sales teams. And we're working actively with NRCan. There is some funding available as well to put these chargers in. So I talked with Hannah and Emin earlier this year, and they said that there might be some interest in this. So I just want to put these opportunities forward as well. It's a really exciting growing space for our team, and we're seeing huge interest in EV chargers and EV vehicles this year. So I'll just briefly go through kind of the EV market, the different types of chargers, some of the solutions and details, and then the rebates and incentives we anticipate being in the market space that would be most relevant for you guys. So future of EV vehicles, it's, as I said, it's a really exciting space. We're excited to be a part of it as well. You know, we think about it kind of as the LEDs of the lighting world. It's, you know, a revolutionary change to how we see driving and transportation. And, you know, there's going to be huge growth in it over the next 5 years. Canada has some enormous projections there to have 100% of the new cars on the road be electric vehicles by 2040. So there's definitely a big drive coming from both the federal and the provincial government. And, you know, we're seeing a lot of changes. I know for me, every other commercial these days on the radio or on TV seems to be about a new car dealership putting some money and growth into their EV line, and there's lots of advertisements right now. So it's definitely coming from all directions, and you know, we're excited to be a part of this and hopefully support all the different businesses in putting in their EV chargers. You know, it's going to be a very different way of transportation. We're not going to be kind of as we take our gas vehicles right now, we drive them down to close to zero. We fill up at the gas station. We don't think about it for a couple days maybe. With our EVs in the future, it's going to be, you know, fill up here, top up there, you know, charge our vehicles wherever we stop and wherever, you know, our locations are for the day. So it's going to be really important that we are able to have EV vehicles quite prevalent in the communities. All right, so there are a couple different kinds of chargers. So I'll just briefly highlight these. So our level 1 charger, that's basically if you were to just charge your car in your current 3-prong outlet. So if you just plugged it in your garage, that would be, you would get a charge from it, but it's very slow. So you probably add about 8 kilometers of range per hour of being charged. So not very efficient. It can be done, but it's not recommended, and it does take quite some time. So level 2 charging, this is where we are most prevalent right now, and this is your typical residential and basic commercial charger, and that's charging a vehicle at about 30 kilometers of range per hour. So we're seeing a lot of these being put in at grocery stores, community centers, throughout municipalities. This is a very common charger. And the last one is our level 3, or our DC charger. So this is an extremely fast charging machine called a DC fast charger. This is the type that you're going to see along highway corridors. They're trying to put these in at en routes along the 400 series highways. And that's about 250 kilometers of range per hour. So that's an enormous charger, and it's pretty immense technology. So you're thinking, you know, you'd be able to stop in, you know, at the en route to grab a coffee, go to the washroom, and you might be able to stay there for, you know, 15, 30 minutes and be able to get, you know, a couple 100 kilometers of charge. So really powerful charger. And as I mentioned, that's the one we're aiming with the level 2 charger. So a couple, you know, interesting pieces about EV chargers. So we're looking with most of our EV charger manufacturers as network solutions. So we're talking about smart chargers. So they're going to be connected through an app, through a public space where you can, you know, see on a map where these chargers are located, as well as pay by credit card or other methods. And it's really simple. You can also have, similar to a dashboard on a car. There's a lot of abilities and a lot of opportunities with these networked solutions. And that's kind of the direction the EV market is going right now. So we are working with a network solution provider and a number of our manufacturers. So just a couple more benefits of kind of that networked or smart charger here. So for a business owner, for a building space, there's a lot of dashboard and analytic technologies. So you're able to see how the chargers are being used, when they're being used, are they running at full capacity? All of that is offered to you through the charger's software and information. Another great feature of some of the newer chargers is waitlist. So you can kind of log on before you leave home, see, I'm heading over to this location today. Is anyone using the charger? Maybe I can get in line after them. A lot of kind of customer facing and really great usability with some of these solutions. So that waitlist is a great option, as well as some flexible pricing. So you can actually charge your users, or you can, just charge guests, and employees would be able to have charging at no cost. A lot of flexibility with the smart chargers there as well as control. So you can also ensure, the charger is closed off overnight, so you don't have anyone, utilizing your power when the building is closed. Or you can just have it limited to certain users, so it can recognize which user can be charging versus those that can't be charging. So just a lot of smart technologies associated to these now, and the list goes on and on, but I just want to highlight a couple that are pretty relevant with some of the newer solutions. So the last big piece with the EV chargers, it's a great solution. There's a lot of growth in the space. But a huge influencer this year is going to be some upcoming rebates through NRCan, National Resources Canada. Our team is working with a number of non-for-profits that are supporting these initiatives. And we're seeing quite a lot of opportunity this year. So again, where we're focusing and where we're working with projects right now is that first line item there. So supporting the installation of a level 2 charger, and that has a potential incentive or rebate of up to 50% of the total project costs, or up to $5,000 off per connector. So that's, that's covering a good amount of those chargers, charger and installation. So that's both the parts and the labor there. And that we're seeing, a lot of interest this year in that type of funding. So right now, the funding in place is for larger projects, so that's 20+ chargers. In May of this year, we're seeing funding coming available for smaller projects, so a minimum of 1 charger, and you can apply for that $5,000 off per connector. So this is where my team is active and working right now, and we have quite a number of projects lined up for this funding, ideally later this year. The one thing to note is this is not for residential chargers. This is just for commercial or business chargers. So public parking lots, on-street parking lots, as well as fleets and multi-res buildings. So I definitely, your projects would fit into this, this funding stream. And I'll leave you there. So if you have any questions, again, Stuart Dobson, he's my colleague. He's our technical manager. If you had any questions related to specific chargers or anything that way, he is a great resource on our team for that. And again, I can support as well with any of the sale and interest on those chargers. So this deck and my previous deck are with Hannah, and she'll be able to support you guys taking a look at those. And I will look forward to any questions you guys might have at the end of the webinar here.
Thank you so much, Christina. So yeah, just a reminder to put your questions into the chat. We'll make sure to address them after. Our next speaker will be Robert Edwards, who is the business advisor for IESO. So the floor is now yours.
Thank you. Want to ensure you can see my presentation. Let's see, how's that? And I'll go.
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay, larger now. Good.
Yep, now it's good.
Terrific. Thanks for having me. Very pleased to join you to talk about the programs that we have available for places of worship. Christine really went over the small business lighting, which is fantastic, but I'm going to give you a little bit more than that as well, because I've got some news for you folks, which is good. I like to start with this. I want folks to understand the lay of the land of the electricity sector in Ontario. So the Minister of Energy, we get our direction from them, as do the other folks here. And the Ontario Energy Board regulates the electricity sector. OPG generates electricity predominantly from nuclear, hydroelectric, gas. And our makeup fleet at the IESO is almost all nuclear and hydro, but we have a lot of some natural gas and renewables big time. Hydro One has two hats. One is that they transmit power across the province to all the utilities. And then the local distribution companies, Hydro Ottawa, et cetera, then distribute that electricity to you folks. Hydro One is also one of those local distribution companies just talked about. And then there's the IESO. We're the independent electricity system operator. And I'll tell you what we do. We operate the grid province-wide, and we have tie-ins to other provinces and the system in the United States, the Northeast sector. And we work very, very closely every 5 minutes, in fact, with those markets. I'm here to talk to you today about bottom right, and that's the province-wide energy conservation initiatives. So we've been doing this for some time. I've personally been involved in conservation demand management for over 12 years. This slide tells you about the frameworks since 2011. And that's when we introduced the Save on Energy brand, some of you may be familiar with. Those local distribution companies delivered those programs on our behalf. So we got a direction from the Ontario government and said, hey, you have to provide these programs, which is fantastic, to the consumers and the grid. And the LDCs delivered those to you folks. So Hydro Ottawa, for example, and others in different regions in the province. And we're really looking at why do these programs exist? I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, as I say, and I've always been customer focused. That's been my career for 30 years. So I like to start with you. I like to start with how it helps you, not just reducing your bill, but other things. But where's the money coming from? It's coming from savings that we don't have to do at the grid. So the grid level is where the money comes from, so that we can help you save. So the more you save, the less we have to build. Makes sense, right? Well, how about a 300% ROI? So for every dollar that we provide in funding to help Ontarians use less electricity, that's a $3 savings on generating and distributing electricity across the province. So that's a no-brainer, right? So we had an interim framework when the government changed in 2019. And here we are now, the 21 to 24 CDM framework. I'm going to be talking about that and the programs that are available there to you folks. We've had some changes. I'll tell you about that. So the last two frameworks, the IESO has specifically been tasked to deliver those. The utilities are no longer involved with delivering the new programs. They're wrapping up. You might even have some programs, applications wrapping up with some of the local utilities. But and they have the opportunity in the future, if they want to offer some local programs in their service areas. That's a big part of the new framework. And so, you never know. We might be having utilities engaged again. So the new framework, we're about 50% of what we used to operate on in terms of budget. So $692 million might seem perhaps like a lot of money to some folks, but it's, we have still a lot going on. There's still a lot of great incentives, but it's not nearly as broad and deep as it used to be. And I'll show you in a minute how that may impact you. But we're really benefiting on what? The electricity system and the consumers. And we're really aligned. I think Harnor and maybe even Christina mentioned earlier about the recovery that's going to be happening, right? With out of this pandemic. And we're going to be aligned, I think you'll see, with the federal government on those. We want to operate as closely as we can at Save on Energy and IESO with the grid and Enbridge and the federal government. So again, this is Save on Energy is our brand, and it's being delivered by us. So what are the targets? Commercial, institutional, and industrial customers. We also have funding for income eligible and First Nations. And what's going to happen, this framework is very much 2 chunks of 2 years. We have ample supply right now. And so it's kind of business as usual, except for a few changes. But in the new 23-24, you're going to see some changes, and we're going to be going to more strategic energy management, a little bit market-based solutions. It's really going to be interesting and exciting for us as a grid operator to see how the market responds and offers solutions in the market to their consumers. We're really excited to see where that goes. And to get us there, we're going to be reassessing the programs and the budgets after 2022. So that's going to be exciting times for us. You're going to see how we're really embracing market. Christina talked about EVs. My goodness, that's a huge part that's impacting the grid, not province-wide only, but locally huge. New developments go in for multi-unit residential, and it totally impacts that entire area. So we'll see what happens in the two-year chunks. Here's a big change as well. I don't know how much it matters to you folks, but the grid is all about, really, for us, peak demand is what we call it. So in the height of summer in Southern Ontario, when you turn on your air conditioning and you turn on that light and your beer fridge is running, you expect all that stuff to work. Well, August 14th, 2003, some may remember, camping out in your basements and ice cream, eat that first, is because we had a huge outage in the Eastern Seaboard. So we can't be doing that anymore. It's all about summer peak demand. So the incentives are also based on that. So you can have projects like exterior lighting or some variable frequency drives or some sort of pumps and motors running at night. That's great for you. It reduces your electricity bill, but it doesn't benefit the system because we have to be ready at the absolute peak when everything's running. And then later on in the day, all of that goes off to the side. And so that's why we're not going to be incenting, you'll find going forward. We're now with this new framework, the off-peak funding. Very much competitive procurement in the future and consumer-based solutions. So I love to talk about benefits. And this slide, of course, talks about not just reducing your bill, but what about operational and maintenance savings? What about life expectancy of equipment that you can draw that out if it's operating more effectively? This is greater employee comfort and productivity, but what about your parishioners? I mean, cooling in the summer and it's not too hot. And then in the winter as well, to have warmer temperatures you can invest in energy efficiency, save a ton of money, and really benefit. Many projects go the other way around, and I get that. Enhanced lighting, controlling those lightings, those lights. So I want you to think about not just saving money, but how can it enhance your churches as well. So to that end, we're going to talk about the retrofit program because it's really the big program that we have in the province. I'm sure many of you have heard about it. But what we've done this year, we have less funding. And so for the next 4 years, or the next 2 years for sure anyway, we'll see what the midterm review shows us. But we've gone prescriptive only. Used to be, and maybe some of you have participated in it, if you're doing a large project, you'd say, this is our base case scenario. We have this stuff working. It consumes this much electricity. We're going to upgrade that to this energy efficiency stuff. And we're going to save X amount. There's that delta. And we'll pay you based on that. We used to. But it was costly for you to participate and prove the savings. And it's costly for us to verify. So what we've done is a prescriptive program where you get X amount per widget. And we'll talk about that in a bit. And again, who are we targeting? Commercial, industrial, institutional, multi-res, agribusiness, all of the commercial sectors and institutional and industrial. And it's province-wide. So in terms of those prescriptive stream, there's lighting, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and manufacturing, but I won't mention the manufacturing stuff. That's more, as you can well imagine, who that's for. Some pretty interesting technology that they would be needing to upgrade. And it's more predefined list to choose from, simpler application, and quicker approval, quicker payments. Oh, one of the things I want to clarify, Harnor mentioned in her presentation that many times you would participate and submit your proof of payment and like a coupon, and then you'd get an incentive. Keep in mind with our program, the retrofit program, you need to submit your application first before you start your program, so that we've got you in the database. And then when you finish you get approval, and then when you're done, then we can pay you. Okay. So we talked about lighting, and there's all sorts of different lighting in there, and you'll see, as Christina was mentioning earlier, track and tubular LED and pot lights and all sorts of good stuff. You will find the vast majority of your lighting in these tracks. Now, in terms of small business, as Christina mentioned, you have up to $2,000 free, essentially. If you want to expand that to other parts of your facility, you would get a built-in incentive that she'd mentioned if you do that at that time. And she'd be able to tell you more about that outside of the 2,000. But let's say you take that one serving of 2,000 and later on in the year, whatever, then you would have to use the retrofit program because you've already had your serving of the small business lighting. So all the types of lighting that we talked about are there, and that application submission, and there are very, very, very similar incentives in terms of the retrofit and the small business lighting. So HVAC is similar, rooftop units and fans and motors and controls. All of that is in a prescriptive manner, where you'd say I have X amount of tonnage rooftop unit that equals X amount of dollars that the Save on Energy program is going to allot me. And again, you'd put your project together, submit your application, and get approval and go. Last slide about retrofit is you need to have a login. So you yourself, it would be the participant. And you may be relying on a contractor, which is fantastic. They also would have a login to the system. They can even put the application together for you, but you're the one who needs to go in there and approve it through your login. And you are taking on a contract with the Save on Energy program, the IESO, adhering to the terms and conditions and agreeing to maintain those savings and that equipment there, and then we have a contract with you and we can send you the check. So it's an online process, 100% online, and some of the projects would require site visits. So I don't have the slide in there, but we're very cognizant, of course, of COVID, and so we're following all the provincial COVID regulations and recommendations. And if you're not comfortable with our technical reviewer coming on site, and I'm sure Christina's doing the same thing with COVID, we need to talk about that. And, we'll make sure that we're both comfortable doing that to meet the program requirements. So this was a small business lighting program that Christina talked about. What I wanted to throw in there is this other news, is that we're at this year, I was just on a call this morning, in fact, on the design team, we're going to be introducing HVAC and refrigeration. So stay tuned. That's going to be a direct install, very much like small business lighting, where we will have a network of contractors who can not only do the small business lighting, but also look at HVAC and refrigeration. The typical types of technology and measures that that can be installed, incented at source by us, that will impact your operations and reduce your electricity bill. So a couple other ones that we want to talk about that make sense for you in terms of food service. It's a small segment perhaps, but it's probably, if you were to actually, we're talking about benchmarking, right? And I'm looking forward to the conversation after this, because if you were to benchmark your actual usage, what have you got? You get heating and cooling for sure, lighting, but it's amazing how much your kitchen uses, and you probably don't know, but when it's operational, it's different for yourselves, I suppose, because it's probably not running that often. But restaurants and food service is the single highest energy intensity per square foot of any operation. I'm not going to put you in that category because I'm not sure how often you're operating, but it's really, really energy intensive. So to that end, we have what we call midstream, it's at that point of purchase. When you buy some commercial kitchen equipment, there's going to be an incentive built into that cost. So you'll see on the left side, bottom left, there's natural gas products, and as well on the right side, there's bottom left on the right side, there's the electricity consuming commercial kitchen equipment. So that's something to consider. Honor mentioned demand control kitchen ventilation. That is really something of interest to you folks as well. Probably those range hoods, if you have a larger food service kitchen, a commercial kitchen in your church. That fan is operating a lot, and you're able to now contact Enbridge, and they have a contractor network, and we're a part of that with Save on Energy as well. And it's a one-stop shop. You get an incentive based on the gas savings and the electricity savings. So if you have a large kitchen operation, I really suggest you reach out to Enbridge and us and see where you can get some savings there, some free contracting and controls and put in for your kitchen. Second last slide, I think, is support and training. So we have a ton of training available to you through, and we incent minimum 50%, sometimes 75%. Again, we've partnered with our good friends at Enbridge, and some of the training is at 75% discount. And that's really, I think, the ones that you folks want to look at, and it's called dollars to cents. And NRCan has created those a long time ago, and we work with a company called SEAT, and they're the, SEAT. I've only known them for 100 years, and I can't think of the acronym, but we've contracted with them to deliver all the training in Ontario for us. And it's all certified, and it's all energy training. So the last one is going to be that support then. So after this, I'll be providing this deck for you, but really at the end of the day, go onto our website, Save on Energy, and talk to us about some of the projects you have in mind, and whether it's a phone call or an email. And if you really want to, the small business lending, of course, you're going to call Christina, but we're there for you. We've got incentives for both electricity and gas, and been doing this a very, very long time. And a lot of folks have been participating in saving money in their bill and improving the operations of their facilities. And more comfort here's one for you. This is what I used to use for food service. See if it relates to your services. Probably not. I'm having some fun here. It's called linger time. So in restaurant, if you have a warmer environment in the winter and nice lighting, might those diners stick around and have a glass of wine, maybe some dessert? I don't know if you want linger time at your places of worship. Probably not. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. Thanks.
Thank you, Robert. So our last speaker for today will be Stephen from Faith in the Common Good. He's been involved with FCG for many years as a building audit manager and the creator of the Green Audit. And today he'll be introducing some resources available through Faith in the Common Good along with the Faithful Footprints program. Stephen, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, everybody. There we go. Awesome. Well, it's like a energy efficiency nerd love-in here with everybody, and it just tickles me to no end. So yeah, I work with Faith in the Common Good. I'm the building audit manager. I'm a sustainable building consultant and a building scientist and a heritage professional specializing in faith communities, which means I'm nerd all the way through, right to the core. So I want to just chat about some opportunities, and with all this information, is great information that everyone's been sharing, and just help you think about creating a plan mostly. And what I want to start off with here first is the pyramid of conservation. This was created out of Minnesota Power several years ago, and it's super cool. I'd like to see the IESO and all you folks get your own branding on a version of this, please and thank you, because I think it's amazing. Here's where we need to think. At the top, someone's already asked about solar panels. That is the last thing you want to do from an energy efficiency perspective. It may be the first thing you want to do from saving the planet and marketing or social and environmental justice, but there's actually a base that we want to start at. And that's
Steven,
that
is there a way to
understanding.
make your slides a little bigger? They're just a little hard to read.
I'm sharing full screen here, so
Okay, because it's not showing full screen. It's showing the other view with the slides.
stand by. My apologies. Is that better? What are you seeing now? Oh dear. Bear with me. Sorry, folks. I apologize sincerely.
I think if you turn off presenter mode, then it should return to normal.
Thank you for that. I just need to figure out how to do that now. Zoom share.
There we go.
Thank you. How was that?
That looks good.
Thank you, everyone, and I apologize for that. So what we're seeing is down at the bottom there, we're seeing the understanding. So your account, the benchmarking, that's your priority. You have to start with the benchmarking so that you understand. You can't manage what you don't understand, right? And then you start creating an action plan by using resources, which I'm going to get into. And then we can start moving into the simple stuff, the thermostats, the hot water settings, you know, those kind of actions. And then once we've taken those really basic stuff, then let's get on the programs, right? Then let's talk to Christina about the lighting program, because that's an amazing program. $2,000 of free lighting, do it, okay? With the lighting, I recommend that you actually don't start in the sanctuary, surprisingly enough. And that's because the lights in the sanctuary aren't on as much as some of the other places in your building. So you want to focus on offices, hallways, bathrooms. Now, those metal halides, you may have some of them for exterior lighting, and you may have some of them if you have a big old gym. So those are huge energy consuming monsters. Now you will have floodlights or spotlights in the sanctuary for some of you, but again, their usage isn't as much as some of the other spaces. Also, when you're going through and let's say you just do 2,000 and let's say you have $4,000 worth of work, what I recommend you do is all the other spaces first. When you do the sanctuary, I recommend you do it completely and wholly and not in parts. And that's because if we have two different light bulbs, they may look a little different and they'll give different colors or warmth as they're called. And that's actually a little ugly. And in your sanctuary, I don't tolerate ugly. So I'm okay with switching bits and pieces elsewhere, but in the sanctuary, I recommend you do it all simply because of the majesty and the beauty of the space. I don't want someone going, that's ugly, and because that's not helpful. All right. Ceiling fans, dimmers, motion sensors, timers, all really are excellent things to deal. From there, we want to go into the air sealing, right? Because at the air sealing, our buildings, our faith buildings are typically different construction compared to our homes. They're thermally massive off many of them, bricks, blocks, stones, compared to our sticks and fluffy stuff in most of our homes. Now you may have a stick frame church as well, but for the most part, they perform differently. And the air sealing actually oftentimes is more important than the insulation. Insulation still is valuable, but in some ways it'll actually destroy your building, such as a stone building. To put insulation on your walls, the mortar now becomes really cold because it's not getting the heat, and the mortar will crumble and your stone walls will turn into a rock pile, and that's not ideal. So you need to think about how you do it. So the air sealing. So if we can reduce the air leakage, because you have a big building and a giant chimney with the air leaking out of it, called your steeple, we're losing approximately cubic meters of air per minute in the Ottawa region out your steeple. So making sure that's airtight will save you bag loads of money. Okay. And then your energy consumption for gas is going to drop. Then you could potentially look at a newer furnace or a heat pump or whichever way you're going, and you could actually maybe get a smaller one. And that's also going to save you energy and still improve comfort at the same time. Appliances, Rob mentioned about potentially refrigeration coming down the pipe. Yes, most appliances in a faith building have been donated because a loving, caring couple went out and bought a more energy efficient one and gave you the old one. That's terrible, and it's super normal. And I've seen where one congregation in Nova Scotia I was working with had 7 freezers from the 1970s for their food bank. And it was financially devastating to them to operate those freezers. It was killing them, and it was potentially going to cause the program to fold simply because of their energy costs. So thinking about stuff like that. So if fridges and freezers come down the pipe, pay attention. Insulation, ventilation, super important. We talked about the, Harnoor mentioned the HRVs, ERVs. Fresh air is really important. I wouldn't stress too much about your building getting too tight. That'll never happen. Not with an old building. Heating, cooling, then we're getting into the furnaces, the boilers, the heat pumps, things like that. Windows, everyone wants to replace their windows. Your payback on a window is approximately 75 years. Stop looking at the windows. Okay, if you really want to do something with the windows, smash all the stained glass out and brick them over. That's more energy efficient. Of course, it's ridiculous. We're not going to do that. Your real energy loss is between the window and the wall. The air leakage between it is actually where you are losing your energy and your comfort. So make sure you understand caulking around the windows, because that's your big deal. And if you can see daylight, or if they're not closing properly, obviously a priority. And then at the very tippity top, that's your solar panels from an energy efficiency perspective. All right. So, all right, now how do I, cool. I'm having double screens. It's all messed up on my end. I hope it's working for you. I can't tell. So here we have a couple resources. So where do we start? Again, thank you everyone for coming. And for those of you who you're interested, and maybe you know something about your building, you're passionate about it. Maybe you're the finance person, but you don't have the building knowledge. Not everyone on your board or wardens has that knowledge. And so I really recommend the one on the left here, the do-it-yourself Faith Building Energy Audit Guidebook. It's a free PDF on our website. You can download it. It's an amazing book. And the reason I really, really like it is the first 2/3 of it are what is everything? What do I need to worry about? Why should I think about switching from this to that? And it's written in human terms. It's not written for nerds. I edit it, I know. It's written for you. And so this is a really great tool to bring to your table, to have a conversation with your team and like, hey, we're thinking about switching this or upgrading this. Oh, what's wrong with the curly light bulbs? What do you mean I got to get new light bulbs now? Well, here's your answer. It's in here, and it's really easy to understand. And this actually came from Manitoba Hydro for the IESO people, and they gratefully gave it to us and allowed us to brand it. So free PDF, I recommend everyone does that. In the back, there is a walkthrough, audit, and check sheets you can use as well. We're also partners with Energy Star in the US, and so they have a similar book, an action workbook for congregations. And this one they actually branded with us, co-branded. So this is some of the work that we have had down in the East Coast. So another great tool. Both are free downloads. Do it because it's free. Energy Star also has a treasure map energy program. So if you want to have more fun and put on pirate hats, I don't know, but they call it a treasure map for worship facilities, 7 pages, easy to go through. There's where you can start. And again, that's also on our website. Finally, one resource I really like is Keeping the Heat In. So this is put out by Natural Resources Canada. For those of you who have had an energy audit at home, this is the book you get, or the PDF you get. This is a really great book. Not riveting reading by any stretch, print it out, put it by the bathroom, whatever. But it's really, really useful. This will tell you about how to air seal your attic hatches, or how to air seal around floor joists, or all these kind of details. And again, this is residential based, to be clear. It's free. Natural Resources Canada's website. You just Google Keeping the Heat In, Natural Resources. The link will come right up. But it's a really great book and a really great educational tool. So I really like it a lot. So green audits. We offer building audits through faith in the common good, but we're not the only source of your knowledge. So first, the do-it-yourself energy audit is where you should start because it's free. We offer a virtual green audit where myself, due to COVID and distances coast to coast, we'll walk through your building via Zoom or Skype or FaceTime, and we'll help you make decisions based on energy efficiency and air quality and food and water and waste and maintenance and marketing and landscaping and heritage and religious architecture. A lot, because we can make your building really energy efficient and sustainable. But if the rest of your building isn't sustainable, we're not making any headway, right? So we need to be sustainable all across. We do it in real life, you know, pandemic aside, and we have worked coast to coast. You can get an energy audit. So energy auditors in Ottawa, around the country, I know they're about to be ramping up for the green recovery, and energy auditors may be required for certain programs in your region. So keep that in mind. And finally, engineering audits is really if you're doing major renovations, capital campaign kind of stuff, that you would have an engineer really nickel and dime and go through every line item and talk about paybacks. So they are a spectrum. There's details of this on our website as well, and you pick what works for you. So for the United Churches of Canada, the United Church of Canada has an energy efficiency grant program called Faithful Footprints, and the website faithfulfootprints.org. I happen to be the grant manager and the gatekeeper. You can't get past me if you're going to do stupid things. You can only do good things. So that's my job. You can access up to $20,000 for energy efficiency actions, which is great. So all these different things, Harnur and Christina and Roberts all talked about, these all count. And you can get $20,000. And if you're going to decarbonize, if you want to get rid of a gas appliance and switch to electricity, there's an additional $10,000 available to you. Now, for every dollar you bring, the United Church puts $2. So you don't get it for free. You have to put some money on the table. And it's a $1 from you, $2 from the United Church of Canada. Now, here's what's cool. That $1 of yours can be from Harnur, or that can be from Christina. We don't care. The United Church is allowing you to double dip. So if you have not done your lighting and you're a United Church, call Christina, get on Christina's program, email the Faithful Footprints website down below, fill out the expression of interest, and Christina's money for $2,000, the United Church of Canada is going to put $4,000 on the table, and you haven't spent a nickel. Now, don't be silly. That's amazing. Right? That's a great opportunity. And so that really, the United Church wants to leverage these great programs and recognize them coast to coast, and to be able to leverage their money to get more action. So this is a great opportunity. Okay. Unfortunately, it is only available to United Churches. So for those of you not with United Churches, I recommend you start shaking the bushes. The Anglicans are interested. We have been in conversation with them. So if there's Anglicans on the webinar, please poke your diocese, and for all the others, please, like, we need to work on our creation care. It's really important. So, you know, this is what I recommend for those don't have grant program access. Check with your energy providers. Cool, they're all here. Awesome. Make sure you can reach out to all of them. Check with your municipalities. Some municipalities coast to coast have given funds to faith communities for energy efficiency if they are, you know, major public spaces. So something to look into. Your member of provincial parliament, you know, Rob touched on the bureaucracy and challenges that as the IESO trying to deliver amazing programs. It's hard, right? It is hard. And so, but we need to let them know that it's important. And the MPs, we need to let the federal government know, hurry up, you know, let's get this green recovery, please wear your mask so we can get to green recovery. And then we can see some of this money roll out. All right. And that is me. Thank you very much. And I'm really looking forward to the questions and stopping this mess of it. Screen share, I apologize.
Thank you, Stephen. So I'd also just like to note quickly that Co-Energy's community financing can certainly also complement a lot of the funding sources that were discussed today as well. And I encourage everyone that missed part 1 of the Ask the Experts to go to our website and to view the recording to get a little bit more information about that. So we'll now go into our discussion period. Feel free to turn on your mics and ask any questions for the presenters. And then M&A, if you have any from the chat, we can address those now as well.
We have a couple of questions, and I will start with EVs. And Karen asked, how much does a level 2 connector cost?
Yeah, great question. So the thing we've learned with EV chargers is it's not kind of a one size fits all. So it's hard to just put one specific price on it. But what we've been trying to do for budgeting purposes is when we're thinking about a level 2 EV charger for a commercial space, about $5,000 is kind of the cost of that infrastructure. And then installation cost is hugely variant. So if you're going to put it, on a brick wall that on the other side is your electric panel and you don't have to run a lot of conduit, very inexpensive, quite quick. If you have to run that conduit, dig, smash your pavement, send it to the back of your parking lot, work it through your building, that can add up. But the good thing is with that NRCan funding, a lot of people are kind of thinking about that $5,000, you can almost cover the entire price of your infrastructure, and you're just kind of paying for labor. So with that funding coming out, I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities to kind of offset those costs. But that $5,000 is kind of the ballpark. And once if you have a project in mind or a location, we can definitely walk you through the fine details of it, and I can get someone to kind of spec your exact location and give you a precise price. Absolutely.
Thank you, Christina. I think you answered my other question too about installing and maintaining EV chargers. And we also question about lighting. And Sue was wondering, they would like to update the lighting in their sanctuary to LED. And are there any grants available to help with this cost? If so, are there specific companies they need to work with?
Yeah, exactly. So speaking to the small business lighting program and to what Rob had mentioned about retrofit, definitely check out both options. We're happy to kind of come out and do that front end assessment with the small business lighting program, take that $2,000 of upfront incentive cost, but they can also utilize both programs. And that's something we definitely recommend. I mean, if they have a large sanctuary, depending on the size, bring in our SBL auditor. There's no cost or obligation. We can kind of walk them through, and if it works through SBL, great. If not, we're going to connect you with Rob's retrofit team, and there's lots of opportunities and contractors that work on that project as well. So lots of money in the lighting space right now, and there's a lot of awesome programs in the IESO.
That is great. I have other question, but if anybody would like to ask, please turn on your microphone. And I have one question for HVAC incentive. Karen was wondering, there would be upcoming HVAC incentive work like the small business lighting with $2,000 incentive and simpler process for applying compared to the retrofit program?
Yeah, I can take that. We're designing it as we speak, in fact, this morning. So we don't know what the incentive levels are going to be yet, and the types of technology that we're going to be looking at offering on those predominantly rooftop units too, right? Really for small businesses. So all I can tell you is stay tuned. I'll keep in touch with Hannah and Emily and let let them know how things are coming along, then they can share it with you. But yeah, the intention is that we call it direct install. So it would be low cost, no cost to you to receive that. It'll be later in 2021 when that's rolled out.
Thank you, Rob. And also, is there any, Heather was wondering, is there any incentives for solar panels on the roof?
Stephen, you want to take that one? I mean, I can tell you very quickly from the provincial government, there are not. There used to be. It was called Feed and Tariff or FIT and Microfit. We no longer offer incentives for solar panels.
Yeah, and I think there are some in other provinces, but not a lot at this point. I think there's only, actually Alberta, I think, started one. So surprisingly enough. So there is hope.
And if you are really set on having a solar panel installation and want to kind of have some more information about that, Aaron, who's actually on the call today too, he is from Co-Energy, and so we can get you in contact with him to kind of discuss a little bit more about solar panels for your Ottawa congregations as well.
And I would just add, Hannah, to the solar panel question, if you're not benchmarking, you shouldn't be thinking about solar panels. You have to be tracking your energy for sure. Yeah, please go ahead.
I'm the person that asked the question. We have put all of our numbers from hydro and everything in to be benchmarked. I haven't heard from anybody yet, but I assume it's coming sometime this March. But we have done that, and there's an interest with some people in the community to become energy neutral and looking at ways to move towards that, which is why I'm asking about the solar panels.
I think it's a great question. And again, to be clear, from an energy efficiency perspective, it's the very last thing to do.
Right.
If you're rocking a green avocado fridge in the basement, that's 2 extra panels, and it's cheaper to change the fridge, right? But from an energy justice perspective, from a marketing value, because young people actually know what solar panels are. When they see them on top of your roof, they're going to be like, I want to know more. And that's a really reasonable way to do it. We are buildings built out of symbols, and that's an amazing symbol, an amazing story for your congregation to tell. It may not be financially viable or logical, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. To be clear, this conversation is about saving energy. So that doesn't stop you from putting them on, but I want you just to be aware that, from an investment perspective, you need to just be, and if you're doing it for all those other reasons, awesome, please do it, keep doing it. I support you 100%, and I want you to do it, and I want to see photos. But you just want to be really clear about, from the outset, sort of what you're getting. Yeah. And good luck.
Have you heard of the provincial government having any plans to reinstate the other program, or no?
No.
Okay.
And I'm sorry for such a short answer, but it's no.
Okay.
In fact, have I heard? No, I'm not saying definitively there won't be any, but have I heard? No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And we have another question in the chat box. Are there other incentives available if we have already participated between 2016 2020?
If that is SBL related, so if you've already participated in SBL, then definitely connect with Rob's team, because a lot of those programs have different eligibility requirements. So just SBL has that limitation. Once we've done that upgrade, right now the product we're offering is still as efficient as what we had done in those past years. But you can definitely take advantage of retrofit, and I would strongly recommend that. As Rob said, it's a great upgraded program this year. It's really simple. I heard really good things so far, so definitely check that out.
Yeah, for Enbridge, there's no requirement as such, so you can definitely participate again if you've participated in the past.
Yeah, in terms of the fine details, we Honor and I were using, and Christina were using the term measures, like that type of technology. So if we wouldn't, it'd be kind of like a double serving. Like you can't get incentives for the exact same replacement, just that it's older now, right? What we need to see is that there's electricity savings, And so that an example of that would be you might have replaced an old T12 lamp, that big, thick, flat fluorescent lamp that Christina talked about, 4 foot, 8 foot tubular one, with a T8. Well, 4 or 5 years ago. Well, maybe now, now it would go from T8 to LED. So it's the same fixture, but a different measure in our language. So you may be okay there.
Yeah, good point.
Very good, thank you. And they have another question. What kind of information do you typically need for an application?
You want to take that one, Christina, first?
Yeah, for sure. So if you're looking at the small business lighting program, the first thing you need to do is just reach out to myself, reach out to the team, and we just need basically where are you located, a bit about the business, but there is not too much on our side to sign up. It's really just getting your location, and we'll get an assessor out, and then we kind of go from there with what the opportunities are. So application wise, it's very, very simple, straightforward for small business lighting. Just send me an email or a call and we'll get you set up.
Thank you.
I think the first place to start for our side, because our application does require some more, is our website, saveonenergy.ca, and under the retrofit stream, you'll see that kind of slide I had at the very end of my presentation is an email address, a 1-800 number, and you can call and just talk to some folks. They're actually going to pick up the phone. It's nice in this day and age. And they'll say, well, tell us about your project. What are you doing? Oh, you know what? You might be eligible for small business lighting. Here, we'll connect you with them. Oh, I see. No, you've done, okay, this is what you need to do then. And there are 3 retrofit service providers in the province of Ontario that we at the IESO have contracted with. And so there's one in the Ottawa region, and they will connect you with that company, and they're local. And they will, depending on your COVID and whether the need to come on site, but they can walk you through it. And what you need to do is create a login to the Save on Energy site. You look at that prescriptive list that we've been talking about. So I have X amount of those, and a whole bunch of those. And I get $6 for that, $4 for that, and $12 for that. Okay, great. That's really what you need to do. You're going to do an inventory. I'm talking about lighting, but there's all sorts of measures. So it's nice to have the help through the Save on Energy website and that phone number. If you're pretty savvy and you know what you're doing, and you just want to replace some lamps and submit an application, you can do that. Stephen mentioned earlier about an energy assessment, and I don't know how prevalent that is and who's doing it for free, et cetera. I know some consultants are, and lighting folks for sure. Very often lighting contractors, you need to know this, folks, for lighting. Many lighting distributor companies and contractors will do the assessment for free because they want your business. Do not hesitate to put them to work. Okay, let them know you're aware of the programs. If it's not small business lighting, right? Retrofit, it's very, very prevalent that they will do that for free, and they will do the application for you virtually for free, but you need to log in and submit it. Hannah, I did want to mention the servings of energy assessment that we have from Natural Resources Canada. So after this, perhaps you could share it with.
For sure, yeah. I know we included it in our newsletter too.
Oh, great. Okay, so just so you know, we at the IESO have been contracted by NRCan to provide 8, I think it's like a level 2 ASHRAE audit. We don't need the fancy terms. It was a pretty decent audit, or very decent audit actually, for your facility, up to $5,000 incentive. You'd only need to pay 25%. So you're on the hook for a little bit, but up to $5,000 in incentive. So Hannah's going to make that available to you. And if you have any questions, all the information's there to contact us.
Rob, that's a great offer. Is that just local in Ottawa with you and this conversation, or is that available beyond? That's something I'm not aware of.
Yeah, it's just Ontario, and we we have eight spots available, and wow. We'd like to get that money. Any of you who know the federal government, and they've partnered with us, and geez, this sound familiar? We got out of the door a little bit late, and now we have a deadline on March 31st. I'm sorry. Should carry my dirty laundry. So we need to get that funding committed, and we're anxious for you folks to take advantage of that.
So for those when I was showing the different, the free DIY, we offer a virtual, audit that we charge for, an on-site, and then the energy audit, and then the engineering audit. The ASHRAE level 2 energy audit that Rob's talking about is a fantastic,
It is.
absolutely in-depth, excellent program, and that's a really thorough energy audit. And like, let's fill it up from everybody here. Like, I think
let's take it.
Don't pass it up. If you don't, I'll find someone.
Terrific. I'll take your word on that, because we've got a mandate to allocate those funding by the end of March. Thank you.
Yeah.
Information is on our last newsletter, and also after the webinar, we will email you the information. And we have another question. Is it about heat pumps? Is it cost effective to convert from gas to heat pumps? What about on-demand hot water tanks? I don't know who would answer this.
I'll start. Harnur and Enbridge, obviously they do gas, but it's not all they do. And they're working very hard to be a multi-energy provider for Ontario and beyond. And I have to give hands up to Harnur and her team for working hard at that. That said, decarbonizing is important from a climate perspective. And Enbridge does realize that. Switching from like a gas appliance such as a furnace to a heat pump, is it doable? Yes. Is it cost effective for every single congregational space? No. If you have a 35,000 square foot, monster of a building, that's not economical. It's simply not. You'll be paying $100,000 plus to switch out, and even then it won't be comfortable. So you need to think about maybe in steps, in stages, possibly. You need to think about your building envelope first and foremost, because you need to get your energy costs down. And Rob talked about, he didn't say the word, but negawatts. We want to look at the conservation. Rob, I used to work with Gail Lawler in the Save on Energy training, the stores years and years ago. So we want to get the costs down. We want to get that envelope as tight as possible, so that when we do switch to something, whether it's a high efficiency boiler, a high efficiency furnace, or we're switching completely to, or if you're on electric baseboards, easy switch over to heat pumps. But from a gas, it depends on the size of the building. So it's not a blanket statement. It can't be, simply because the building types are so different.
I'll just add to that quickly. We don't have funding available for tonnage or anything of ground source heat pumps, but we do for air source heat pumps. And those package units that sit outside or bolt to the side of your wall. It's a prescriptive track, and you'll see that there's some funding there, but it's not to the degree that you're thinking of, I don't think.
Yeah, I would agree with Stephen, and we don't have any air source heat pump incentives. So, but if you have like a water source heat pump, we could definitely talk about it. And we have been seeing an uptake in these kind of applications. So definitely we could work something out. And if it's a standalone system, if it's doing district hot water, the domestic hot water only, then there's no incentive. But if the primary heat is from the natural gas, then there likely could be a project.
Perfect. So we're almost sitting at about 3:30. If there's any other questions that you'd like to be addressed, please say so. And then otherwise we'll tie up for today.
Thanks everyone for taking part. It was so great to hear all about these awesome incentives, and we've certainly been working for a long time to clarify and bring forward some of the great opportunities that are available in our region. And a special thanks to all of our speakers, although Hannah, I'm sure you're going to give a thank you as well.
Yeah. So I was just saying, before we all head out, I would like to thank all of our speakers for taking the time out of your day today to present and answer the questions that everyone had. And just again, to learn more about our energy benchmarking program, don't hesitate to contact me via email or through our website to sign up, as we highly recommend to start off with the benchmarking, as we have about 15 spots left for the program.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.